Good morning and welcome to today's webinar, which is titled Move, Manage and Run SAP Applications in the Cloud. This webinar is brought to you by Express Computer in partnership with IBM. I'm Mohit Rathod, Senior Correspondent with Express Computer. Organizations of all sizes and industries are now looking to create exceptional customer experiences. They want to uncover new revenue opportunities and optimize investments and fundamentally reinvent how business gets done. To enact, to enact those changes, it requires new processes, systems, and technologies enabled through a hybrid cloud model. This shift in strategy is far from easy, particularly for SAP business applications, which are central to daily business operations. All SAP customers must transform to SAP S/4HANA by 2027. If you are an SAP customer, you need to develop and execute SAP S/4HANA adoption strategy in addition to your cloud strategy. And with IBM, you have the flexibility to move your existing landscape as is and deploy SAP S/4HANA on your way to meet business requirements, and all this while maintaining control and security. Today's webinar will uncover how you can take advantage of cloud built for enterprise to seamlessly migrate your existing estate to the cloud in preparation for SAP S/4HANA transformation. But before we take the session forward, I will read out some of the information about this webinar. This webinar is being broadcasted live and will be available as on demand. We will have a round of Q&A at the end of the webinar. However, you can send in your questions anytime during the webinar using the questions text box. We will also have a short survey at the end of the webinar. A form will open in your web browser soon after the webinar ends. So I request each one of you to participate in the survey as your feedback is very important for us. If you face any technical issues, please try to refresh your browser or else reach out to our team using the same questions text box. If you have any further questions or if you wish to interact with the speaker, please leave a comment using the questions text box and the IBM team will contact you post the webinar. So that's all from my side now. So without taking much of your time, I would like to introduce and welcome our speaker for the day, who will share his insights on the topic today. We have Pandian Athirajan, Global Sales Leader, IBM SAP Cloud. Pandian is focused in improving sale of IBM SAP Cloud across the globe through direct and partner sales routes. In his present role, he engages with and helps IBM direct sales team. In addition, he works with global and regional SIs for sell-through and sell-with sales models. In his previous roles as product offerings manager, Pandian helped to shape several IBM software and cloud products in the company. He also acted as customer advocate for Bank of Tokyo, Mitsubishi UFJ, and Ford Motor Company. So I now give the floor to Pandian. The floor is all yours. You can take the session forward.
Thank you, Mohit. Good morning, folks. Thanks for joining the webinar. My name is Pandian Athirajan. I'm the Global Sales Leader for IBM SAP Cloud. With me, I have John Polikoski and Bibhuti Rath, who will be answering the questions. So as I go through my pitch, feel free to post your questions on the Q&A section, and John and Vibhuti will be answering those questions as it comes from you. And what I want to cover during this session is basically, as we are planning to migrate to S/4HANA, I would like to lay out the business challenges that you are facing, and then how do you plan that migration, and how do you plan for what's going to be done or needs to be done as we integrate SAP with other applications and march towards the digital transformation. So I would like to set that business challenges first. And then I will talk about what IBM can provide in terms of not only from the cloud infrastructure, but also on migration, managing, and running your SAP on cloud. And then we also want to talk about the partners we work with. Then I would like to end my presentation with a call to action. If you look at today, as customers who have got their SAP ECC or R3 and they're all planning to move to S4 HANA, one of the biggest challenge they're facing is the justification or the business case justification that they need to provide to their CIO or to their CEO on why they need to migrate S4 HANA. There are two scenarios emerging. One scenario is it's just not like lift and shift from on-prem to cloud. It's basically what needs to be done towards the digital transformation journey as outlined by SAP, as well as reduction of the legacy infrastructure you currently have on-prem. So both needs cloud, and then cloud is going to be critical for you to justify the business case and then march towards your digital transformation. So I'm going to explain to you in both cases how IBM can help. And then as you know that a lot of folks, CIOs and CXOs we talk to, their their outcome also is very similar to what we have captured here. And then as we look at SAP going from ECC to S4, and there are a lot of changes that are happening in terms of the interface, in terms of the other technologies that are being built into the SAP, or SAP need to integrate with other applications in terms of AI, in terms of the data science from analytical perspective, or IoT or blockchain. That is also another challenge. Then even the implementation methods. I mean, I know most of you may remember in the olden days, any SAP implementation is hundreds of millions of dollars of investment. And it's going to take anywhere between few months to maybe even close to few years. And those things cannot happen today. People wants to have faster time to value, and they want the continuous improvement as you make the migration and implement SAP. So these are the changes that are happening, and that's going to have a huge impact to your business, and it's going to have a huge impact on your investment. But again, when you look at the transformation, when you look at if you want to use the cloud and the digital transformation um, as a business case for you, again, cloud is the very first step we said. But again, moving to cloud is just a very first step. We call it as an event, not the end goal, because there are other things that you need to keep in mind in terms of how we are going to integrate with other platforms, other technologies you have, so that as a customer, you can gain more business value out of the integrated applications that work along with SAP S/4HANA. Again, as I mentioned, the lift and shift to cloud is the very first step. That is not the end goal. What I want the audience to keep in mind is please don't just plan for migration to cloud. That is not the end goal. Look at it from the perspective of if you've taken the first step of moving to cloud, how are you going to optimize IT landscape? How are you going to evolve so that you can optimize the cost? And once that is done, once things are processing at a much faster pace, and once you cut down your cost, then how do you want to transform the business and innovate your business using the technologies it's available today? Again, when I talk about technologies, especially from digital transformation perspective, some of things I talk about is very much related to analytics, machine learning, blockchain, IoT, Those are the common use cases we see across the industry IBM work with. In addition to that, you are going to develop a lot more applications using your DevOps technologies that will integrate with your SAP. So those are the things calls for a platform that provides all the technologies for you, because you just don't want to go to a provider that just can host your SAP applications. That's not going to help you in your march to your digital transformation. Again, so that's why we put the spectrum of scenarios here. If we go from left to right, again, if you look at the bottom of the screen here, and again, we talked about the just to move to cloud. This is just hosting of your SAP on the cloud. But if you look at the other things that need to be done as you march towards your digital transformation, that involves your DevOps, that involves doing the analytics on data lakes. Again, I say data lakes because you are going to collect data from multiple applications that will integrate with the SAP data so that you can get real-time insight into your business operations. That's going to be the key, your ultimate march towards what you need to do with your SAP S4. And then we talk about IoT. Again, a lot of you customers on the call, the audience, you have the manufacturing industries, you have logistics, and you are going to have a lot of edge computing and IoT sensors in your plant that's going to stream data. And then you need to have a way of capturing those data, integrate that with your S4 so that you can get your real-time insight. And then you need to develop other applications that will talk to SAP. Then you need to have a platform that can provide that capability to develop those applications using microservices. The old days of waterfall method of developing applications is gone because we are running most of the things on cloud, and cloud provides a tremendous capability to develop applications using microservices. So you need to look for a platform that has got all the capabilities. Then definitely last but not the least is the artificial intelligence and machine learning. There's a tremendous amount of risk going on in India and other parts of the world where how you're leveraging this machine learning capabilities along with S4 HANA so that you get the real-time insight from your customers, from your operations, from your supply chain so that you can optimize the cost and provide more value to your customer. So if you're looking at all these technologies, and then if I want to put a broad number of buckets, then I would probably look towards 5 different buckets. One thing is going to be going from right to left. We are going to talk about the SAP certified infrastructure. That is going to be the key on which you are going to deploy your SAP application. And then second thing is going to be somebody needs to take care of provisioning of the landscape on the cloud and managing the landscape. What I mean by that is What I mean by that is basically somebody is taking care of the server, provisioning on the cloud, deploy the operating system, patch it to the level that you need, do the user management, take care of your backup, set up the DR, set up the HA. All those things are needed. So you need either you can do it by yourselves if you have the resources and skills in-house. If not, you're going to look for a partner. Then that couples with your basis administration for SAP. Then you need partners for doing the migration and then implementation, whether it's a brownfield implementation or greenfield implementation, you need somebody to do that. And then once that is done, as I said earlier, that is the event, that's the first step. Then you need to plan, strategize about your digital transformation, which means how do you integrate this SAP data with other applications and platforms you have in place. And then you need a partner who has got the skills and resources to do help with you in your journey towards that. Once that is done, again, typical operation is going to be the AMS, the application management services. Ideally, if we can get one hand to shake, basically one partner who can do from end to end, all the five buckets I mentioned here. If we can get one partner to do that, that will be the ideal because you have one hand to shake and one throat to choke. But if you are going to have multiple partners, you are going to have a lot of issues in triaging the issues between these partners. So ideally, I would recommend to have one partner to do everything, irrespective of whether it's a brown field or green field, and then who can has the skills and resources that starts from the cloud infrastructure and all the way providing the AMS. Towards that end, I would like to again take where IBM can help in terms of the capabilities I just talked about. Again, so far I talked about the migration to S4 HANA, and and then that is not the end. That's only the beginning. Then how can you use for the digital transformation journey that is needed so that you can get the real-time insight? I think we have one polling questions here. So the moderator can bring up the poll questions, please.
All right. So we have a poll question here. So you will have around 30 seconds to answer this. Roughly what percentage of customers have not migrated to SAP S4 HANA yet? So I urge the audience to send in their answers. I again repeat the question. What percentage of customers have not yet migrated to SAP S4 HANA? All right. So we have results here. So 73%. Okay, so 67% of the audience say 73%, and 21% of the audience say 50% of the customers have not yet migrated to SAP S/4HANA, whereas 12% customers say that 40% of the customers have not yet migrated. So, Pandian, would you like to share what is
Definitely.
the
I think most of them got the answer correct. It's a
yes?
73%, which is very, very surprising, right, for all of us, right? Because SAP has been pushing this S4 HANA for a very, very long time. And again, the difficulty, as I mentioned in the beginning of my presentation, is the business case justification. How do you justify millions of dollars of investment? So that continue to be a bottleneck. So more than two-thirds, close to 73% of the customers have not migrated. So that means you understand the challenges. I think you are living with the challenges in developing the strategy, developing the business justifications. Hopefully some of the things I presented will help you with that. And then going to the next slide, again, in this case, having talked about the business challenges, having talked about what kind of things you need to consider in your digital transformation journey, just not the lift and shift, but also the other technologies that are available so that you can use those technologies in your journey towards the intelligent enterprise or the digital transformation that SAP is mentioning in their presentations all along. Now, let me position what IBM is doing in this area. Again, I'm going to talk about the cloud infrastructure we have first, and then I can talk about the migration management and run capabilities we can do as through our services team division. So if you look at this slide, this is the IDC survey done in December of 2019, but still it's hold true. If you look at it, again, most of us, we talk about anything on cloud, always people talk about AWS, Azure, GCP. But if when IDC talked to a lot of the enterprise customers, and this is what the survey result is, basically, when we mentioned that SAP workload and where they will be very comfortable to run it is IBM become one of the top three cloud service provider, along with Amazon, along with Azure. And then basically two-thirds, 67% of the customers said they prefer IBM SAP Cloud over other vendors. And then close to half or close to 53%, they said they are prepared to use IBM SAP Cloud for S4 HANA. Again, this will be surprising because you will be thinking, hey, my strategy, my CIO strategy is we are going to have only one vendor, cloud service provider, and that is Azure, that is Amazon. But that scenario is changing. We have a lot of large enterprise customers saying that, yes, we are going to work with Azure, we are going to go work with Amazon, but when it comes to SAP, I would rather go with IBM because they have the expertise in not only developing the infrastructure for running the mission critical application, but they also have the expertise in managing it, migrating it, customizing it, and doing other integrations that are needed, because that's what we have been doing for the past probably several decades. So this is not surprising, but again, this came from a third party survey. I just want to bring it to your attention. Then if you look at what is most important thing when it comes to IBM cloud, not just SAP cloud, but you take the overall IBM cloud, because we have a lot more capabilities. I want to show it to you. The first thing is going to be enterprise grade, because when we talk about cloud infrastructure, we designed it for running the applications that are being used by enterprises day in and day out. It can be VMware workload. It can be Power Systems, workloads running on Power System server. It can be IBM I or IBM Z. All those capabilities are available in our cloud for you to use. The second most important thing is we built the security as a part of the cloud platform. Security is built in terms of your compliance, in terms of uh, making you sure that there is no other penetrations or hack or data breaches happening. So we lot of things are built in. In addition to that, we also provide a lot of other security services through our security services division. So if you have any specific need that you want to use it, you can always use those additional services that are available. In terms of encryption, we have that FIPS one party dash to level 4 certification in place. And that is the level of certification that's used in the mainframe computers. We have the same thing available to you for your SAP data. If you want to encrypt it to that level, you can do it. And then the second thing is going to be open innovation, because we talk about we don't want to have the vendor lock-in mentality with our cloud. So whatever we developed in terms of our container platform, and everything is open source. It's in terms of Kubernetes, Istio, Knative, Resi, everything is built on open source, and that's available for you to use. The second most important thing I would like to cover here is in our classic cloud infrastructure, when you choose the bare metal, which I'm going to talk about in our next slide, is basically when you transfer the data from one IBM data center into another IBM data center, for example, from Chennai IBM data center to Singapore data center, the data out is not charged. Whereas in our competition, you need to pay for the data transfer. This alone, if you are a mid-sized customer of like 3 to 4 terabyte of HANA server, that alone will save hundreds of thousands of dollars for you on a yearly basis. That's going to be key. I just want to make sure that you take that into account when you look for a cloud service provider. Then other thing I want to mention here is when we talk about IBM Cloud, and when I talk about the S4 HANA business justification, and then digital transformation that is associated with it. I talked about blockchain. We have it here in our IBM Cloud Catalog. These are the services, 200 plus services we have it in our catalog today, so that you don't have to go from one provider to another provider. You want blockchain, we have that capability. Do you need IoT platform for developing the applications? We have the capability. Are you looking for analytics for doing various analysis of the data you have? We have the built-in capability. Artificial intelligence, we have the capability. Then if you're looking for DevOps kind of development platform, again, we have this. So basically, the reason I'm calling out is whatever capability that you need in your journey towards a digital transformation, it's all available under one service provider, that is IBM. We talk about the compute capability that you are looking for. That's basic. Network is basic. Everybody has got it. Everybody talk about storage and network and compute. That's common. But we have other capabilities that are built in, that are enterprise scale. All the things we are talking about is mainly designed for enterprises. We have all these capabilities under one cloud platform, so that you don't have to go from one vendor to other vendor and then trying to figure out how to integrate and make it work. With that, I think we have one more poll questions. Mohit, if you want to.
Yeah. So we have a second poll question here. Which cloud service provider gives you the widest compute platform choices to deploy SAP workloads on cloud? So your options are AWS, Azure, GCP, or IBM. So again, you have around 30 seconds to answer. Which cloud service provider gives you the widest compute platform choices to deploy SAP workloads on cloud?
I'm really interested to see the response
Yeah,
here.
so let's have the results here. I think most of the customers have got it right. So Pandyan, your views on this?
Yes, yeah, exactly the same thing. Most of the audience members got this correct. Yes, IBM has got the widest choice. That's exactly what I'm going to cover in my next slide. So yes, we are the only one in the market today who can provide x86 bare metal, x86 with the VMware, and then Power System Virtual Server. All this platform, what I mentioned here, are all SAP certified. Nobody else can do that. Not AWS, not Azure, not GCP, not Alibaba. None of them can provide that. And what is the best, what is the top reason here why we are providing such option? The main thing is we want to provide the frictionless migration from your on-prem to cloud. What I mean by frictionless, whatever you have, you don't have to re-architect or re-platform anything. Take it and shift it. If it is VMware, you know that VMware, if you have it, you can use the vMotion capabilities that you can use to shift the on-prem VMs into cloud and then from cloud to uh, on-prem. Again, this one is basically you can deploy it in a private cloud fashion, okay? Or you can also use it as a hybrid cloud fashion, because one of the things we definitely see the value is a hybrid cloud, where if you want to keep the production SAP running on-prem for whatever reasons, for regulatory reasons or compliance reasons or whatever reasons you want to keep it on-prem, you can keep it. But if you want to deploy your non-prod, whether development, test, QA, and you can do it on the cloud, and then you can move the VMs from cloud to on-prem very easily. And then if you are using the Power System Virtual Server, again, this is going to be key. Nobody else has got it except IBM, who can provide this SAP certified. Only IBM has got it. And lot of you are using Power System Virtual Server, Power System today on-prem. You can shift the LPAR very easily from your on-prem deployment into cloud using the what we have on our cloud today. Again, these two, we are unique. Nobody else has got it. But if you look at the leftmost side, the bare metal server, again, in addition to IBM, you can get it from Azure, you can get it from Amazon. I don't think GCP provides a bare metal, but V3 provide this. But if you look at the sizes of this bare metal server and availability across the globe, IBM by far has got the most choices, and most data centers globally have this bare metal server. Right now, we can go up to 12 terabyte on bare metal server. And then we also have this with the Optane persistent memory. And recently, I think last year, we have introduced x86 based virtual server instances on VPC. Again, this is you have with the MZR capabilities, and this one is going to put us on par with what other cloud service providers are providing today. Again, some of the customers, the way they use it is basically they use this VPC VSI for non-production, dev and test and pre-prod, and then use the bare metal for production workload. Again, all these things can be used in any fashion, whether you want to do it and completely on cloud or in a hybrid cloud, that is something is running on-prem, something is running on cloud, you can do that. Or if you want to use it on multi-cloud, you can also do that as well, especially for VMware. If you want to have on-prem with another cloud vendor as well as IBM, you can do that as well. Again, the key here is having these choices that are all SAP certified gives you tremendous flexibility, reduces the risk involved in replatforming, makes this whole migration from on-prem to cloud much, much, much easier. Moving on to next slide here. Again, continuing with when I said that we are unique because we are providing the machines, the servers that is required for the enterprise workload. This benchmark testing done by SAP will prove that. Again, these are the benchmark testing done by SAP. It's available on their website. I have given that the link to that benchmark test results here at the bottom. Again, we all know that SAP certified servers are sized based on number of SAPs. Okay, because if you want to measure the benchmark, you need to know what SAPS is. If you look at it, look at the top 5. Whatever is in blue is IBM, yellow is Amazon, and then the light blue or copper blue is going to be Azure. If you look at the top 5, out of the top 5, 4 are from IBM. The beast in the whole of this list is going to be our power system virtual server, E980, that is basically providing at 908K of SAPs, followed by again another IBM server, 6 terabyte x86, again that can provide 550K, followed by same capacity, 6 terabyte from Amazon that can only provide 480, 70K less than what IBM provides. Then the 3 terabyte, 1.5 terabyte, again, IBM beats everybody very, very, very easily. What does it mean? What's the meaning of this? If you're going to have higher SAPs, then you are going to need less number of servers to run your SAP workload. When you have less number of servers, then you have a reduction in management cost, reduction in the software license cost. Again, when I talk about software licenses, it's basically not only your SAP, but also you need um, license for monitoring, licenses for logging, licenses for your backup and storage, licenses for HA, all those licenses that depends on the number of the VSIs or number of cores you are going to use. All those things are going to be less. The overall cost of managing the infrastructure is going to be much less when you have higher number of apps. So what it means is this translates to reduced cloud management cost for you when you run your SAP workload on cloud. Going to the next one. Again, this is compliance because that's going to be key. We have satisfy all the compliances we have listed here, and then we keep adding more and more. And I have provided the link to that our website that can provide you with the latest on what kind of compliance certifications we have in place. And a lot of customers look for SOC, a lot of customers look for FedRAMP or ITAR if you're a US customer, and then some other customers look for even PCI data compliance. We have compliance for all the key certification and compliance need. And again, as I said, all the time, you can always go to the link and find out what is the latest we have available. Going to the next slide here. Again, first I started off with the business challenges. What are the things you need to keep in mind when you do the migration to cloud? Then talked about IBM Cloud, and then what kind of SAP certified infrastructure we have in place, and what kind of other services you need that can be used to integrate your SAP with other applications you are going to develop. Then we covered the cloud infrastructure, we covered the business challenges. Now I'm going to talk about what are the services IBM can provide in terms of migration, management, and running of your SAP workload. Towards that, we have a great services team. We call it as global business services. We also call it as global technology services. Both are available. And then we have several capacities, several services that are available through them. Whether it's you want to move, build, and operate, we provide a landscape as a service. We also have a quick business value realization through rapid discovery and rapid move for SAP. I will cover what exactly I mean by rapid move. And then if you're specific in a particular area, your industry vertical, it can be manufacturing, or it can be hospitality, or it can be chemical, or it can be oil and gas. We have a template for each of the industry verticals that can accelerate your transformation in using the S4HANA and then derive your value much quicker. We have those pre-configured templates that are available. And in addition to that, if you want to have some more tweak to be done that suits your specific way your company is operating, that can be done as well. And in addition to that, we also have the continuous delivery with for SAP. And in terms of the DevOps and integrations, we have specific capabilities built into within our services group. And when we do that, we talked about the methods and expertise that's available that going to increase your business value, reduce the total cost of operations. We have the essential platform that required, and then we talked about industry specific solutions that will have specific processes that are designed for your vertical that's available. Then we have a specific development of the dashboards and data models that can accelerate transformation to your S4HANA. All these things are done not only with our platform, we also have tremendous amount of technology partners. We use their products in accelerating and providing this value of services to our customers. Then when it comes to rapid move, when it comes to migration, I specifically called out a program we have called Rapid Move. Rapid Move is basically a kind of starting with the advice, building and migration, as well as management. Again, all these things involves definitely a lot of investment. Investment not only providing for consulting and then infrastructure, but also providing for licenses for S4HANA. IBM can also provide the financing for this. We have IBM Global Financing that can work with you to provide finance for the entire spectrum. And when I'm going to talk about whom you need to approach for that one, but keep in mind that The investment that are needed upfront should not deter you in doing this, taking the next steps towards the journey that you have in mind. Again, I keep talking about the one hand to shake. And in the beginning of my presentation, I talked about the 5 different buckets, starting with the cloud, doing the landscape provisioning and management, the basis administration, and the migration and implementation, as well as the application management. Again, it's preferable so that you have one partner who can do everything. IBM can provide that. And along with that, I talked about rapid move. The rapid move, it's basically the services cloud infrastructure plus the licensing cost. Everything can be financed by uh, by IBM through our global financing unit. One of the other important thing in the rapid move is we have a scanning capability, a scanning tool from our partner S&P. The scan is called a Crystal Bridge. That basically provide tremendous amount of value in scanning your on-prem deployment as you have today, how it can be optimized when you migrate to cloud, especially to IBM cloud. It can give valuable information on that so that you can save on the infrastructure cost. It can also show you how much of data you currently have on your on-prem deployment, how much you're really using it. Because a lot of customers have so much of data and nobody knows whether they're using all the data or not. There are some customers saying, I have 40 terabyte. There are customers talking about, I need 60 terabyte. And if you ask them question, hey, how much you really use? Nobody can answer that. This tool can help you to understand how much you need, how much you can archive, so that when you move to cloud, you can make optimal decision in deciding what kind of infrastructure you need. Then what kind of process improvement that can be done. Again, that can be also used using the tool. So, so when we talk about the rapid move, it's not only the services and cloud infrastructure from IBM, and then global financing from IBM, but also the scan that is part of this rapid move program. These are some of the significant wins we have. Again, I specifically chose customers across the globe because it's not like, oh, IBM cloud is famous only in Europe or IBM cloud is famous only in US. It's not applicable for, not that popular in AP. That's not the case. If you look at this, the list of customers we have, some of them are large enterprises, starting from Coca-Cola European partners to Grupo Modelo, one of the largest beer manufacturers in Mexico, and to Baker Hughes, a very large oil and gas, and Tata Steel from India, and Panasonic from Japan, Autopistas from Spain. They're all some of the large customers we have on IBM Cloud running their SAP applications today. Then, if I understand a lot of you listening to my webinar here may have other partners. And again, not every customers use IBM for everything. And some of you have preferred partners because you have a built-in relationship. We work with most of them, whether it is TCS or Wipro or Infosys or Tech Mahindra or HCL, all of them we work with. We also work with Accenture, and Capgemini EY is your partner. We also work with them. So if you have your partners on the implementation migration, we can definitely position our IBM cloud so that they can do this migration implementation on IBM cloud, because that providing, for the reasons I mentioned earlier, in terms of the platform of choice, in terms of the capabilities we have in portal towards the digital transformation. For all those capabilities, use IBM Cloud, but use one of your preferred partners to doing all other the four remaining buckets I mentioned in the previous slide. So having talked about the business challenges, the cloud infrastructure, the move, manage, and run by IBM or by your partners, my request to you is only one thing. Talk to the IBM Cloud sales team in India. We will work with you to develop a strategy, starting with the migration management, everything, as well as what needs to be done as you move towards integrating the rest of the application data into S4. We can develop a strategy that takes into account your current business need as well as your future needs where you want to go. Towards that end, we have a free 90-day POC for you. Basically, this is $30,000 worth. You can have a SAP certified cloud infrastructure for free for 90 days, either to evaluate IBM Cloud or to even to test out your S4 HANA to see whether it fits your needs. Whatever you want to do, that 90 days is for free, and this is $30,000 worth. Again, talk to your cloud sales team in India, and then if you still have any questions, again, I'm pretty sure India sales team can reach out to me or John or Vibhuti to provide any answers you're looking for. With that team, I would like to close my presentations, and then Mohit, I don't know whether any open
Yeah.
questions are there that I can
Yes.
answer.
Well, yeah. So thank you, Pandian, for your presentation. It was indeed very insightful. So now we can take some of the questions from the audience. We also have John and Vibhuti to answer them. But before I start taking the audience questions, just a quick reminder that don't forget to fill in and submit the feedback form after the webinar ends. So let's see what questions do we have. And by the way, if you haven't sent in your questions yet, now is the right time to send so that our speakers can address them live. So we have our first question here. Will IBM participate in SAP's latest offering, which is Rise with SAP?
Yeah,
So
yes,
Pandian, who, if you would like to take.
definitely. We are definitely going to participate in the Rise with SAP offering. In fact, as we speak, we are working with SAP, and we are working through the terms and conditions and pricing and all the things. And the short answer is yes, we will be participating with the new offering.
All right. So again keep urging the audience to send in their questions. We have a second question here. I'm currently running SAP ECC on Power Servers on premise. Do I need to refactor or re-platform if I want to use Power Virtual Servers available on IBM Cloud?
Oh, you don't have to, because that is the beauty of IBM Cloud. Because if you're running the power systems on-prem, and we have the exact same machine available on our cloud, so you just have to move LPAR from on-prem to cloud. You don't have to do any re-architecture or re-platform of your application.
All right, thanks. So we have another question. Uh, how it will be different from HEC offering?
How it will be different
I,
from HEC offering?
Yes.
Uh,
Pandian,
okay.
I think they're referring to Rise, right? How is Rise different than Heck? If you want to answer that, I've answered several other questions in the Q&A too. People can see that, but go ahead, Pandian.
Yeah, we are still working through that one, and from the outset, some of the characteristics of the Rise with SAP is very similar to what the HEC offering in the past. But again, SAP is offering a lot more additional capabilities to it. So it will be definitely an improvement on the old HEC version uh, that was there in the market.
Sure, thanks. So while questions are coming in, again urge the audience, if you still haven't sent in your question, now is the right time to send. Don't miss out on the opportunity. So Pandian, we have our next question here.
Mhm.
When will SAP certified VSIs, similar to what other AWS, Azure, GCP provides, will be available on IBM Cloud?
Oh, it's available today. Basically, we have the same VPC VSIs what our competition provides. We also provide. The only difference is the capacity. The maximum capacity we have is, I think, 768 gig. And then we are working towards up to 6 terabyte by middle of this year. So, so we have the availability today. And again, that capacity we have is basically meeting some of the small and medium sized customers. But by middle of this year, sometime towards June or July, we are going to increase the capacity all the way up to 6 terabyte.
All right. So we have our next question. How does IBM Cloud price for SAP certified servers compare with that of competition such as AWS, Azure, and GCP?
We are, when you compare Apple to Apple, we are very competitive. I think that's one of the misconception of, in the market today, that we are expensive, but we are not. We are very competitive. And basically, when you do the Apple to Apple comparison, again, for the team, maybe I would like to post this challenge. If you have any opportunity, or if you are planning to move to cloud, bring the opportunity to us. We will price it, and you can also price the same configuration with our competitor, AWS or Azure or GCP, and we can definitely we will beat the price, and we will not lose your opportunity just because the price.
Mhm. Okay. So we have another question here. Do you have Express Cloud Connect like AWS, Azure?
Express Connect.
Uh,
Correct. I think
yes.
if the question is related to how do you connect from your on-premise to cloud, we have a very similar capability, but with a different name. It's called direct link, and we have direct link capability that can provide a dedicated pipe connecting your on-premise to our cloud data center. Yes, we do have the capability.
All right. So we'll take one more question here. What's the maximum size of HANA servers I can get on IBM Cloud?
Uh, Today, if you go to Power System Virtual Server, you can go up to 14.4 terabyte. And by end of this year, we are adding up to 28 terabyte on the Power System Virtual Server. On the x86 bare metal, you can go up to 12 terabyte today. And then if you want to go with the VMware with x86, we can go up to 6 terabyte.
All right. So let's see if we have any more questions. I think some of them are already answered by John and Vibhuti. So it seems that this was the last question we had. So I think that's all the time we have for today. Again, if you have any, for the audience, if you have any further questions, you can always write to IBM team at the coordinates given on the screen. So I again thank Pandyan for sharing such interesting insights. I am sure there have been many takeaways for the audience. I also thank the audience for the interest and time and participating in this webinar. Remember once again to send in your responses in the feedback form, which will open in your web browser after the webinar ends. Thank you everyone and have a great day.
Thank you.